so the news is on. I just got in the house. I don't think they had, well, commercials on. I don't think they actually had the announcement. I always do this. Like, I don't remember that it's like a mirror image. They did the Alec Baldwin thing. I knew that they were going to do it around 11 o'clock. I meant to be home earlier. I just can't be on time anymore. I don't know if they announced it on TV. I was actually in the bathroom with my phone trying to see if there was anything, and I went on the ABC News streaming on YouTube, and I saw that they did end up charging Alec Baldwin. Now, I made a bunch of videos in the beginning. I was so shocked by everything, and if you want to know my thoughts on it, you can go back there. I was surprised by my reaction to the charges, because I actually sort of woohooed. And years ago, I was an Alec Baldwin fan. I don't mean years ago, I mean like I haven't liked him since then. I mean like growing up, he had a couple movies like The Marrying Man that I used to watch all the time, and Married to the Mob, you know what I mean? He wasn't one of my heartthrobs, but I did like him as an actor, you know what I mean? So this is when I was in high school, I guess. So I always liked him. And personality-wise, fire signs, I like people like that. I do like hotheads. I am a hothead sometimes. But, he got up to stuff, did paparazzi thing. But I always kind of felt like, yeah, well, he seemed like my type of person. And, over the years, how Hollywood got woke and stuff like that, a lot of things went screwy. And people I used to like just started all becoming part of the, what do you want to call it, group think or whatever. But he still seemed okay, and I don't know. So, I never disliked him. There was a couple times, I think he blocked me once on Twitter. I don't even know. Oh, yes, he did, because I forgot what it was. It was some controversy, and I know what it was. It was the Access Hollywood tape that everybody was like, oh no, President Trump said horrible things. You know what I mean? And he got on board with that. Oh, he wasn't President Trump, he was candidate Trump. And Alec got on board with that, of course, super Democrat. And I was like, but didn't he get recorded calling his own daughter a pig? So he blocked me after that. But I had to point it out at the time, because it's like, yeah, you say things, everybody says things, nobody needs to be recorded when they're saying something they shouldn't be saying, but so yeah, I got blocked. Anyway, but I still wasn't mad, because I'm still like, yeah, well, of course he's gonna get mad about that, but can't be throwing rocks in glass houses, right? So when this happened, I felt really bad. I've told you my thoughts on evil being there. It's 100% possible that this is what happened. Accidents like that, I don't think happen. I think that where something goes horribly wrong and somebody dies and it shouldn't have happened for so many reasons, I don't think it's just human error. I think there has to be, like, we have to be as cautious as we do in life, and I have none of my ducks in a row, and bad shit can happen to me all the time. That's why I just try to be as good as I can, because I know I don't have my shit together. But things happen, and this unfortunate situation happened, but he was also responsible. This gun was in his hand. He pulled the trigger. I believe he pulled the trigger. I don't know if he says he pulled the trigger or not. I forget now. There were so many things, but the gun was in his hand. She was shot with the gun that was in his hand. Safety measures did not seem to be followed. He was a producer on the film. From all the other, from other actors from a long time ago, they've always said that no, they check it themselves, or they have somebody check it right in front of them before they shoot a scene where they're supposed to shoot somebody. So seemed like a lot of these things weren't done, and he was a producer on the show, and the gun was in his hand. after that, if he made any kind of thing that showed remorse or any kind of guilt at all, because if in the same situation, had it been me, and I'm not saying he should have done this, and I'm not saying most people should do this, but I get guilty about everything. I was that kind of little kid. You could use guilty conscience on me. Guilt trips always worked. So I'm always scared of getting in trouble, but now at this point, the wheels have come off my bus. Whatever happens to me. But I feel guilty over everything. So had I been in the same situation within 24 hours, I definitely would have attempted suicide. Because whatever happens in this life, all the things I didn't have, the life I didn't have, career I didn't have, family, all that stuff like that, as long as I get through it without killing anybody, I'm going to consider it a success. Even if it ends up I have to end my own life someday because of something stupid. I would really not like to kill someone else. I don't even want to harm. I've never been in a fight. I don't want to harm someone else. Like I said, I desperately need a job. I would not want to have a job where somebody could die because I messed up. Like when we watch It's a Wonderful Life, and Mr. Gower, right there for the first time I saw that, I said, I'm never being a pharmacist. I do make mistakes, and I'm not exactly clumsy, but I screw up, and I tend to screw up when it's big, and it really matters. So I don't want to bother other people's lives. I don't like to do that. So if I had been in a situation like that, I may have just dropped dead from the knowledge that happened, and the gun that was in my hand, and I made a mistake and somebody died. I probably, without actually killing, I probably would have just died from the knowledge that I did that. But in the subsequent weeks and months and stuff, he just went about his life like nothing happened. I think it wasn't Halloween, was it? I remember thinking he was doing or Easter or something. He went and doing stuff with the kids, like some holiday where you just go and do everything, this normal activities that you would do at that time of year. And I'm like, whoa, at the very least he should, lay low. Not because the cops were going to come and find him, but I guess they call it disassociation. I don't know, but he didn't seem to be taking any kind of responsibility at all. Even if you didn't mean it, it still happened on your watch. It still happened with the gun that was in your hand. It was in your hand, and you didn't check it. So you can say, well, they should have checked it, and this should have happened. But, from everything I've heard, you're also not supposed to be pointing a gun directly at people. There's so many things since then from me looking into things. My first thing was I didn't even know they used bullets anymore. Like I said, I've been watching behind the scenes, and when I see behind the scenes, the guns just make clicking noises, and they're not real guns. But if you have to use a real gun, there's supposed to be all these things that are in place, and it didn't seem like any of that was happening. So he wasn't remorseful, and then he kept just plowing through and just acting like going on about his life. And he did that interview with George Stephanopoulos, it was, right? And it was like he's just making himself look worse, and every time he did something, he made himself look worse. And on the anniversary of her death, he put a thing on Instagram, and I was like, what's wrong with this guy? But being a fan and stuff, and knowing his career, and having watched movies all this time, and being very cognizant of people's filmographies, I really said at the time, I said, gee, actually, for somebody of his caliber, who had the career he's had and been working the whole time, looking like an Irish guy, I don't know what he is, I was like, he really didn't play that many cops. I haven't seen him. I know in the very beginning, like I said, Miami Blues, he played a cop or a criminal, I forget, but he had a gun in the trailer and everything like that. But over his career, compared to other people who've worked as long as he had, I really didn't remember seeing him hold a gun in the movie that often. Like I said, The Departed, I haven't watched in a while. He was the lead detective or something like that. He was in charge anyways. I don't even know the cop rankings. You know what I mean? He was in charge. And he didn't, I I don't know that I can't recall seeing him with a gun in his hand in that movie. I know there was a shootout, but so it's like of every other actor, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, anybody, most actors, you clearly remember seeing them with guns in their hands many times, you know. So it was weird to me because I said, well, maybe, you know, he didn't use a gun as much as other people. Maybe he just somehow, by quirk of fate, didn't understand. He hadn't been trained as much as somebody in the business who had even, you know, half the career he had. And then in one of his interviews, he took that that was my excuse for him. Well, he didn't shoot a gun that many times in a movie. He didn't have guns that many times in movies. So as you know, so maybe that has something to do with it. He took that away because in one of his interviews, he was like, I know all about it because I've been in so many movies. I've used a gun in so many movies. And he took the excuse I was trying to give him away, that he didn't have a lot of experience like other actors did with guns in every single movie, or like half their movies and stuff. And so once he did that, I was like, I can't root for you anymore. But then he kept doing these things that made him look worse and worse and worse and worse. And like I said, by the time he was posting, you know, like I said, on the anniversary of her death, like it happened, like I don't even know what it was. It was like Never Forget or something like that. I was just like, he's unhinged. I don't know if he ever got help. I thought he should have got help. That's what I was saying in the beginning. Like, he needs to talk to a priest. He needs to talk to some kind of guru. Somebody who's going to get through to him. I'm sure all his family members tried. His wife seemed like she was trying hard. I don't really know her very much. But she seemed to be sticking by him and everything. And I just... because he never, all along the way, he never took responsibility. He never really owned it. You know, as they say. These charges had to happen. You know what I mean? I think the husband I think they settled a civil suit maybe. There was a situation there. So, this woman died. This woman died, and she died because she was on Alec Baldwin's movie set, because he had a gun in his hand. Because a bullet came out of the gun in his hand and killed her. And both charges had to happen because the director was very close. He got shot too, and he could have died too. So it's unfortunate all around. The devil or evil or whatever you call it does find these ways in. But if there are normal safety procedures on a film set and they weren't followed, if you're the person in charge and for months and months and years later you just decide you're not going to take responsibility of any sort, then this has to happen. Had he been taking responsibility, had he said, you know what, I should have checked, you know what, this weighs heavy on my soul, you know, I'm going to have to carry this with me he didn't say these kind of things. You know, he almost made it as if the gun did it to him. The gun was somehow a Trump supporter, and the gun shot her just to make him look bad. Or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's too much supernatural for me. Shit happens. The devil finds a way. We have to fight him every minute. But then if you make yourself the victim when there's a dead woman, this is what I'm saying. I can't. So it's unfortunate that things had to go the way they did. But these charges had to happen because she's that close to. If not, it would have been like her life was nothing. It really, you can make all the scholarships you want. You could do all the Instagram posts you want. Her life is gone, and that's because of things that happen, and none of us want to be in the position he was in. And I worried in the beginning that he might do something because I thought he was a normal human being who would have felt a normal amount of guilt. That didn't happen. That's why these charges had to happen. And that girl, people pick on me for nepotism this and nepotism that. The armorer, she's not a girl, I can't call her a girl, she's a woman. That woman was a nepotism hire, probably. Just like a lot of people in nepotism hires. And when it's an actor or something and they're in the movie and they're just stinking up the movie, nobody dies. But, when it's something like this, and this happens in all industries, and people say that, and it's like, yeah, but it shouldn't happen. You shouldn't, the great plumber used to have, son should not take over the business and hook up your water heater wrong because daddy wanted him to have a job. Okay? This shit shouldn't happen. So, there's a lot here. I wish it hadn't happened for her, for him, for everybody, but it did. And I am not a justice freak. Because I don't believe justice is a real thing. I believe revenge is a real thing. But I just wish it's going to take this, maybe, if anything can get through to him. Because his soul's at stake. And I said that a long time ago. And you can't bring her back. But you can save yourself from, whatever comes next. Whether it's a fiery place or some bad reincarnation. Or I don't know. But you have to... It's just a good thing to own up to things and say, you know what, that was my fault. And it'll be better for your soul, I believe, if we believe in souls. But in that way, I'm judging people. Yeah, I judge people now. That's what I do. But I'm horrible too. We're all horrible. But in this case, this had to happen. I really wish that he had not done the things he did since. Because that's what kind of has made everybody... And it's not understandable at some point. You want to understand. I try to put myself in people's shoes. And when I can't put myself in people's shoes and understand what they're thinking or what they're doing or why they're behaving the way they are, that's when I'm just like, yeah, you're doing bad things. And, this is the kind of thing that'll correct it, maybe, if it can. But we'll see what happens with the trial and everything. But you can't just... now her life has been revalued where it was devalued up to this point. So, we'll see.